Hey everybody, welcome to my man cave and welcome to more of a how not to. This is definitely not a how-to video because almost everything I did here, it seemed to go wrong. It was just a total cluster for me. I never ever caught a fisher in a cable restraint, never ever expected to, but caught one in a cable restraint. He managed to get a hold of a 5-gallon bucket. I think he wanted to move in there and live in that 5-gallon bucket. I couldn't get him out of the bucket. He tangled everything up. It was a ridiculous mess for me. But I managed to get him cut free, and it turned out to be, I think he's going to be fine. And it was just a struggle for me. So don't take this video as a how-to video. And that's one thing I'm stressing. And I was going to try to use the tote method, but about the only thing I could have done with the tote was to just cut the cable off long, and then it would have had the cable still wrapped around it. But it was a challenge for me. I'll say that. I'm not an expert at letting fishers go out of cable restraints. It's easy out of a foothold, but that thing was buck wild, I'm telling you. So hope you enjoy the video, and I'll have another video coming up to close out my trapping season. Things have slowed down, but it's almost over, so sad day for me. Boo-hoo. My wife is smiling in the background. My wife knows 2 days of the year. She knows Christmas Day, and she knows the end of trapping season. She looks forward to 2 good days of the year. Christmas Day and the last day of trapping. She's cheering in the background, so. Alright, hope you enjoyed the video, and see you later. Good morning, everybody. It is February the 10th, and I caught at least the biggest fisher I've ever caught, and I caught it in a coyote cable restraint. Right here's a fox cable. He came right down through here. Here's his tracks right here. He missed this fox cable. Came right down through here. I was trying to turn it into a coyote when I saw it in the cable, and I think he jumped over this fox cable right here. There's tracks right here, and then tracks on the other side of it. And then he came down here where it had a coyote cable, and got himself caught up in there. This could be a challenge trying to let this thing go. That is one big fisher. I might have to go get my cable cutters if I can't hold it down well enough to loosen up the cable to release this thing. I'm gonna have to get my camera set up here. I'll probably look like a fool trying to let this thing go. Personally, I wish it would just squirm out of there right now and run away. Without a doubt, that's a big fisher. One big fisher. But the season's closed, and I gotta release it. Somehow. The last thing I ever expected to catch in this cable. That 1x19 cable must close pretty quick. He must have just jumped up into it. Oh well. I'm gonna get set up here and just try to get this thing released. Now I left my bucket too close. He's got my bucket tangled up, and this just ain't gonna be pretty. Now, I might need to go with my cable cutters. One tough fisher. cable's too faint. Gotta go get my cable cutter. He wants to be in that bucket. So he squirmed through my loop, through my catch pool now. Oh, I know I have to get my cable cutters. I'm going back. I gotta go back and get my cable cutters and come back and cut this guy loose. Better prepared now. Got my cable cutter, so I'm gonna see if I can get this guy cut loose here and let him get on his way. And I'm gonna show you up the road here where I missed a coyote. It's actually where I did the cable restraint video where I set a cable restraint. I caught a fisher in a coyote cable, but the coyote went, I think, slipped right through it somehow. Come on, buddy. Oh, man. All messed up. He definitely wants in that bucket. Cut that cable through the thing. Get that thing to break. He went in that bucket, it's funny. That's a bucket I don't need. Just get his head to that. Ooh, he got that loop. Really. A little better. thing I've ever had to deal with. I cannot get it. I don't know if that got on camera. Wow. Those things are ridiculously strong. That's something. Unbelievable. Basically, I had to, I could have just cut the cable and left him with 4 feet of cable around him and just let them run around. He would have just gotten tangled up and it would have just probably killed him eventually. So basically, he got into my bucket and he liked being in that bucket and he tangled everything up and he got my catch pool all tangled up. So I basically had to smash that bucket apart so he couldn't get in it. Then I had to get him pinned down, but man, they are ridiculously strong. That was one big fisher. And if I look all frazzled, it's because I wanted to get him released. I wanted to get that whole entire cable cut off of him. So a lot of people think we're heartless trappers and stuff. And I'll show you what I mean. Hopefully I can get a better picture here. I mean, the cable's 5 feet long. So he's got a 10-foot radius here, 10-foot diameter circle. And here's the locking device. I could easily just, it would have been a 10-second release for me. I could have just come up here and clipped that cable right here and left him with all that. Just left him with that hanging on his body. And that's not the right thing to do in my opinion. So took some wrestling down. I finally got the bucket. There's my bucket. I had to smash the handle off the bucket to get my catch pool released. Then I got it back on his neck, pinned his neck down, but it was a hip catch. So with his neck pinned down, he still had the whole back of his body. I never did it before, so basically I had to grab a hold of its tail, pin its head down, hold it with its tail with my other hand, and work in there until I got the cable clipped around its body. So now he'll be a little sore for a while, but he'll heal up way better. If I'd left that on there, it would have just got infected and probably killed it, gave it a slow, painful death. So a little bit of stress releasing him, but he'll be better off here doing it that way than just cutting the cable and letting him go. So I'll have to come here and pull this stake later and clean up all the stuff. I thought my bucket was out of his reach, but it wasn't. I set my bucket right over here, and he got a hold of my bucket and tore everything out of it. And there are coyote tracks. There must have been coyotes here checking them out. And just right over there, I have another cable restraint, the one that I showed on video, and he slipped right through that coyote. This is probably his tracks right here, or hers. There's coyote tracks here. Probably come in to check out this fisher. There's more coyote tracks coming up that way. But that was something, that was interesting. That's a first for me. Second fisher of the year, both released, but that's the first fisher I had to release from a cable restraint, and it was a big one. That's the biggest fisher I've ever caught.